Back with another interview. Underworld Society, Underworld Class.
Yeah.
We're here with
Quik, Cashy, however you want to refer to me. Just keep it short and sweet because that's how we like it.
And tell us where you from.
From upstate New York, from Rochester. I came to Boston when I was 11 though, so I've been here ever since. But yeah.
And talk to us about growing up in Rochester.
Well, growing up in Rochester it was weird, right? Because up until a certain point, I didn't understand like what reality really was, right? So for a while, I was just a kid up until like 5, 6, and then shit started to get real, right? So I grew up in very humble beginnings, like most people. I'm the oldest of 5 on my mom's side, and then I'm the youngest of 2 on my dad's side. But I didn't know like most of my dad's side until I was like older. But yeah, so I basically raised my siblings. I raised myself. It was rocky, but looking back now, I appreciate it because I look at life differently than most people. And there is a truth in the saying that some people are raised on love, and then there's people who are raised on survival. And people who are raised on survival move differently. So I'm unlearning a lot of that in my experiences with new people. But I still appreciate it because it reminds me of everything that I learned to make sure I can stand on my own too when nobody else is around, But overall, like, Rochester is very gutter. Most people don't know that. People hear like upstate New York and they think it's just the suburbs, but it's rough. You know what I'm saying? Like, our murder rate is kind of up there with Chicago right now. Like, if I'm correct, it's above Chicago's murder rate, and it's mostly the young people that are doing it. So I just want to like do everything that I'm doing to remind people that you don't have to stay stuck in your circumstances. Like, you can do more. You can, and I kind of like in a way was rescued from it, but it wasn't always easy. Because even when I came here, I had my own struggles here. But yeah, in a nutshell, it was rough, but it taught me a lot that I still need to know to this day. So.
You came to Boston when you was 11?
Yeah, yep. So I came here like right in the middle of middle school, so everything was kind of new to me. I had been back and forth between because my parents like are split. So my mother lives in New York, my father lives here. So it was 2 different realities for me because there I had freedom, right? But we was kind of like broke a little bit, And then I came here and it was like we was a little bit more well off because of the structure here with everything. But I was very like sheltered a little bit. My father wasn't playing with me, And now I appreciate that. But back then it was like he was very strict to me, So if it wasn't me going to do my sports and little stuff like that, I didn't really jump off the porch until I was like 17, to be honest. So yeah, but being here has been cool. I definitely feel like I want to move and branch out at some point, but I do appreciate my existence here as well because I met a lot of good people, people that I hold close and near and dear to my heart. So yeah, I wouldn't trade it.
So tell us a little bit about what you do.
So I'm really a Jane of all trades. I wear many hats. I rap, I sing, I used to dance, I do poetry. I actually have a poem that I wrote when I was in the 8th grade in the Library of Congress, So you can go on the archives and look me up and find me in there. But yeah, so we won a writing contest when I was in like 8th grade. I did that. I paint, I do everything. I have my own brand right now. It's called Melevated Apparel. I also do makeup. That's called Melevated Beauty. The very first thing that I did that was like something that had my stamp on it though was really the music. That started like years and years and years ago, and like I'm still looking to pursue it, but I want to make sure I do it at the right time and in the right way. I want to have the right movement behind me. But so it started with that. I was known as Cashy Monroe. I was doing shows and I opened up for Remy Ma years ago and stuff like that. But I, like most people that have dreams, they let people talk them out of it or they just get discouraged, whatever the case may be. So I kind of put it on the back burner. And then I started doing makeup and it was something that I was good at. So I'm like, okay, I could really see myself doing this for the long haul and making a business out of it. So I started like, my very first gig was a fashion show. Okay. It was Provita Fashions, I'll never forget. And I was like this brand new makeup artist, self-taught. I learned on YouTube. Okay, YouTube University. I've never been certified, no nothing. But I'm one of the best makeup artists in the city now, so it pays to teach yourself, y'all. You know what I'm saying? You can go get that shit on paper, but teach yourself something, you know what I'm saying? Apply yourself. But yeah, so I started doing makeup when I was about like 19, and then like I said, my first thing was a fashion show, and I was in there with like resident makeup artists that had been freelancing for 10 plus years. You know, I'm fixing a model's makeup. You know, so I had brought something new and fresh that people hadn't seen with the way I was doing makeup. So that kind of carried me, and I started getting introduced to certain people, and then you know I got cousins on radio and shit like that. So eventually I just kind of like started having a little name for myself, and then I did club promotion for some time. So with the club promotion, I had my name on mad different flyers. We was bringing people out. You know, we brought out AOJ, we brought out Mr. Vegas, we brought out 2 Milli when he was hot. You know, so I had a good run with the promotion stuff. But yeah, so that's how I made my name, and now I'm behind Melevated Apparel. I created like basically an umbrella. So it's Melevated everything. I've Melevated graphics, Melevated apparel, and Melevated beauty. So basically, I'm just trying to package myself up and, you know, branch out, network, you know, get my face out there. Because I'm very, like, homey now. I don't really want to be seen. But when I do step out, you know who I am, you know? So, yeah.
Is there any artist or fashion designers or anyone in that entertainment business that you were inspired by that you looked up to?
Yeah. So there's a range of inspirations I would say I have because I'm a 90s baby. So it definitely stems from like that 90s flavor, that bold and in your face kind of style. Like I feel like in the 90s, that's when people was really their raw self. You know what I'm saying? You was outside with your naps showing, you know what I mean? You might have had to have the hot comb ran through them real quick, you know? People don't know what that is these days. But it's a little bit of that. It's a little bit of like, you know, I'm a plus size girl. So I have to represent in the right way because we're looked at as kind of like the other, you know. There's a lot of people that like plus size girls, but they don't want to be on Front Street about it because of how people see it in like beauty standards and all of that. So I'm very big on like body positivity. You're going to see me out, I'm going to be showing some skin, you know. So people who are not afraid to do that, and people who are like plus size women as well, like Queen Latifah, Monique, you know. Anybody that you can think of that was plus size, I always look to them. That's why representation matters, right? Because you don't want to see somebody who's hanging out looking crazy, you know. And I do want to say that Lizzo is a little bit of an inspiration for me too, because she's out there, she's on a platform doing it in a different way than a lot of people have. So I would say her, and then musically, my inspirations are like her, you know, Mary J. Blige, Alicia Keys. It's kind of like all over the place. I listen to a little bit of everything. But if I had to say what my favorite is, I'm more of an R&B soul / like Afrobeats kind of girl. That's what I do. But fashion wise, I would say, I don't know. I like to get things that people think big girls are not supposed to wear, right? And I like to make it look good. So anybody where it could be Lizzo, it could be Rihanna, it could be, you know, any of these little Instagram boutiques, anything is an inspiration for me. Because if I feel like I see something and I can make my own spin on it, then that's my inspo automatically, you know. So it really comes from everywhere. I find inspiration in many things. I could look at a butterfly today and be like, I want to have a pink dress in my brand, you know. That's just how it goes. You never know. Yeah.
What do you see for your future as far as your, the brand goes and everything you got?
I'm gonna be real, like there's no cap and no roof on where I see the potential. I honestly see like myself in some skyscraper building with my own office, you know, running, delegating. I've always been that way. So I just know that in the near future I'm trying to have men's apparel. And I also want to extend into like luxury clothing as well. So for the people who are business owners, you know, they're on the go, they're in meetings, you know, they're always in the office. They got to have something they could look good into. You can't go into no business meeting in no club wear. You know what I'm saying? So I need something for everybody. That's kind of like what it is. Because the whole source in like root of Melevated is about being black, elevating, being a person of color, you know, no matter what, and just doing something that is other than what is expected of you, you know, because no matter if we try to say we see it or not, racism still exists, classism, all the isms still exist, you know, we are still very much the other. People are just finding ways to put band-aids on it, you know what I'm saying? I'm trying to find a way to expand and be more than what is expected of me. So yeah, I want to have the menswear, I want to do shoes, I already have accessories, but as you know, we just did our first fashion show. It's called the Posh Experience Summer Fashion Extravaganza. You know, we had vendors, we had performers, models, of course, and I want to extend that into model management, event production, whether it be pop-up shops, fashion shows. I have an idea for something that I want to do in the winter, so stay tuned. But yeah, I'm just trying to find ways to network and make it something bigger than anybody has ever done in Boston, personally. Because Boston has a lot of things, but a lot of the artists that come from here are from the outskirts. They're not really from the city, except for maybe one or two. A lot of them are not from here, right? So a lot of the good things that come out of Boston, they're kind of like dampered on. I'm trying to be way bigger than that. I'm trying to be in other cities, So, yeah.
Earlier we talked about the garbage plate.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I've been telling all my homeboys about that back in Boston. I've been telling them about the garbage plate.
So the garbage plate is basically like a Rochester staple. People who come there, they've seen it on like those big cooking shows. Like, I'm pretty sure Guy Fieri had it on his show, because I remember him mentioning it in another show. So I'm pretty sure you've seen it on there. But it's just like a big garbage plate. Like, that's literally what it's called, but it's not garbage, it's food. It's like onions, sausages, rice. It's like a whole big just blend of everything, but that's like a Rochester flavor. However, what I was gonna say is, even though I'm from there, I've never had one. I have never had a garbage plate in my life. No. I don't know. I just couldn't wrap my head around the garbage part. Because then it's like I'm already a struggling vegan. When I say struggling, I mean I'm nowhere near vegan. But like, I did it for 6 months, so I'm trying to get back. But yeah, I've never had it because I just couldn't wrap my mind around that part. But my favorite food from Rochester, and this is so crazy because you get this out of the little corner store bodegas, right? Because in New York, no matter what part of New York you go to, there's probably 4 or 5 stores that sell some type of food. I will only eat a cheesesteak with boss sauce. I know that sounds mad crazy, right? But it's literally a steak and cheese, and there's like this special sauce that we have. It's called boss sauce. So it's kind of like a barbecue sauce, but then it's sweet and it's spicy. It's a little hot, but it gives that tang that you need to match the cheese. And I know I sound so greedy when I'm talking about it, but when you have it, especially when a little 420, honey, it's the best thing ever. Like, best thing ever. I want one right now just talking about it, but yeah, I'm going to New York soon, so I'm gonna get me one.
Yo, it's crazy because when I was first born in Rochester, I noticed that a lot of people had like that southern accent.
Yeah.
Like, we're in New York.
Right. So that's what I was saying earlier. Like, I feel like people hear it and they're like, oh, those are just some bumpkins, in some little Whiteyville, whatever. But then when I be like, nah, Rochester's like really good at like, if I go back there, my accent's gonna switch in no time. Like, it'll take maybe 2 days for me to have my full accent back. And then I'm like when they say water, they be like, water. Like, it's not, and like we say water, in the same way we say like car door. They be like, they pronounce their R's way harder than we do. So door, like, it's so funny. But like, obviously when you are from there and you hear people talking like that, it don't sound weird to you. But when I first came here, like, girl, where the hell are you from? So yeah, it was funny though. It was funny. Like, always traveling back and forth when I was younger was so hard for me. Because I would notice it myself. I'm like, why is that happening? But it's human nature. It's going to happen anyway. So, yeah.
So, you want to give us a little recap of, like, the events that took place a few minutes ago? I mean, not minutes. It was like 3 hours ago?
Well, at this point, it seemed like it was just 2 seconds ago. So, yeah. But long story short, some people that we tried to bring in and work with, yes, they have their own motion. I'm not going to sun them or make it seem like they needed us for anything. But at the end of the day, we didn't need them either. We brought them in trying to work with them. I'm not going to speak on who it was. They know who they are. When they see this, they're going to know exactly what I'm talking about. Long story short, try to do something, trying to include people, trying to work with people and put people in a position to eat with us when we get there. You know what I mean? And everybody just can't sit at the table. Some people don't know how to get their act together, and this ain't daycare. I'm too old for that shit. So yeah, it was basically just, I was trying to extend people more grace than I've ever extended anybody in my life, because everybody who knows me knows how I operate and knows I don't take no shit, I don't ask no questions, and I don't answer to nobody. So yeah, it was just giving, I need y'all to get the fuck out. And they didn't want to move, so I was gonna have to move them myself. And everybody that knows me knows I don't have no problem doing that. So I had to exhibit what it's like when I have to show up, and I don't have no problem doing that. Pretty plain and simple, you know. I try to be calm, cool, and collected because I sort of have a reputation for being kind of like a bulldog, you know. But in my life, like I said, I was raised on survival, and when you need to survive, you can't let nobody play with you, because you let the wrong motherfucker play with you. That's your life, you know. And I'd have been in some real trying situations, but one thing about it, I don't never fold. I'm always 10 toes down, and I've always been that way about myself and anybody that I'm around. So, you know, it's like when you put me in a position where I gotta show you what it's like when I'm in survival mode, I'm gonna show you, and you're not gonna like it, because everybody like it when you real. About to make me throw my song on, but anyway, yeah. Long story short, you know, I try to give my best self and give a more positive version of myself, because I know that don't nobody always want to be around somebody who's negative or aggressive or confrontational, and that's what people connote me with when they hear my name. But people can't really take nothing from me, and I've kind of settled into it, and I kind of own it now, because respectfully, I feel like you gotta have the personality that I have when you trying to eat and you really trying to get somewhere, because people will play with you, and you only gonna deal with what you allow. So I'm not gonna allow no nigga to play with me, and ain't no female gonna play with me either. Simple, straight like that.
Now, is there any advice you want to give to any up and coming artists, whether it be, you know, music artists, fashion designer, whatever?
Just anybody trying to do something.
Yeah.
I think the main thing is know yourself, because you will constantly be put in situations where people will try to make you out to be something that you're not. And you have to be okay with not telling your side of the story sometimes, because people get so involved in their own delusions that they'll believe their own lies and they'll never hear your point. And at that point, you're wasting your breath. Try to surround yourself with people who are like-minded with you, that want to see you win, people who are doing better than you, because anybody on the same level as you is not going to push you to be your next best self, right? So I always try to surround myself with people that have more than me, whether it be financially, or they're just more established, or they have more resources than me, whatever the case may be, because life is all about stepping stones. At the end of the day, the goal in life is to acquire wisdom, so that when you pass on to your next life and into the next portal that you go through, whatever the case may be, you were supposed to take the lessons that you learn here into what you do next, you know? And that's just from a spiritual standpoint, but on some real life shit, like, be okay with your losses, because nothing is truly a loss. When you do things in life, you have lessons and wins, right? And then come the rewards after that. You gotta always try to see the lesson in everything. You may feel like it's the worst situation possible. You don't know how you got there, but you always have to find a lesson in it. You have to always figure out, like, what is life trying to teach me? You know, be teachable, stay humble, never forget where you came from, because just like that, your life could change. But you could easily be brought back to what you wanted to work your way out of. You know what I'm saying? So stay humble, keep your head on a swivel, pay attention to who you have around you, because not everybody can sit at the table. Everybody can't eat with you, especially when you're that and not them. Period.
Any questions, Flo?
More plugins now, right?
Yeah, so plug in whatever social media handle you got, where they can find your
Whatever
clothing.
upcoming shit or
Yeah,
whatever
whatever you got.
projects or whatever.
All right, so the next upcoming projects that we have, I'm not going to name it, but we are going to have a pop-up shop coming soon, so look out for that. If you're looking to find me on any socials, my name is Quik on Facebook. That's Quik, but my first name is the QU, the IK is the last name. If you're looking for my brand, you can find me at Melevated Apparel on everything. On Facebook, it's Melevated Apparel. The Melevated has an 8 in it. It's not Melevated with an A. So it's MELAV8TED Apparel. And on Instagram, it's abbreviated MLV8TD_apparel. And then the website is Melevated Apparel, also abbreviated. So you can find me under that on everything. You could Google search me and it's going to come up. And for my beauty page, for my makeup page, if you're trying to book me, or if you're out of town and you're coming into town and you need a makeup artist, find me at Melevated Beauty on Instagram. Again, it is abbreviated MLV8TD_beauty on Instagram. My website is also the same. You can book me there. Feel free to send me a DM, whatever the case may be. Shop Melevated Apparel. You know, I got my my good brand on today, wearing my pants from Elevated Apparel. So yeah, find me. You know, even if you just want to work, you want to connect, you want to model, anything, brand ambassador, find me. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.